Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Vision for Us podcast. I am your host, Terrence, and I'm here with my lovely co-host and wife,
Angelica, and
we're the Prathers. So, we have a really good episode for you guys here. The name of this episode is "Can Healing Happen in Your Marriage?"
I believe so.
You believe so?
I do.
All right. Yeah. So.
Well, before we get there, most people think that, marriage is bliss, and that, I would say
marriage is blissful.
It is blissful, but there's a lot that happens in marriage that you have to heal from. Some of us bring certain things from our past, from our childhood, and it comes into your marriage.
Okay, that is true.
That's the context of one of the reasons why we're bringing this episode. And we know that marriage may look easy to some people, or that's the aspire goal, or they could be engaged. I don't know where everybody else is at, but you can be engaged and getting married, and it's exciting. And you're planning the wedding and all the different things, and that's fun. And then when you're in the marriage, whatever you envision in your imaginary mind sometimes does not come to pass because whatever context it is. So healing has to take place in a marriage because you're dying to yourself. And I say that pretty much on every episode.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you are dying to yourself. I am dying to myself every day. Are you?
Yes, I have to.
So before we go more into depth, I do want to let you guys know we are not certified or experts in this. We've only been married almost 10 years now. So
this is for conversational
purposes only. Hopefully you guys will get some good nuggets out of it. And we're coming from, just having conversation based off of experiences and just conversation.
Yeah,
so,
just life
in general, married life in general. So what do you think happens in a marriage if there's not healing?
Well, I think is it better to heal
before you get married, or can healing take place in the marriage also?
I think simultaneously, yes. I think healing has to happen before you say the I do and start the marriage. That was one part of your question. And the reason why I say that is because there's certain things that individually you have experienced, whether in childhood, whether you come from a two-family household. I even identify what marriage means to you. So there are certain things that as an individual you may come in with, and as a single person there is some healing that you have to do. But I think it becomes a brick wall because you have blind spots, so you're not going to be able to see what you need to heal from, right? Okay. Then in the marriage, you get into the marriage and you start lifing and doing certain things, and then you see certain maybe behaviors or characteristics that may have not come up when you were in your single season, and now you're married and the partner is pointing out certain things that needs to change, or certain trigger points, or certain conversations, or maybe being vulnerable. So I think that in marriage there is certain healings that will take place because there's an unveiling of the issues that you may have not been privy to when you were single.
Well, I know from previous experience, I was not willing to, when people pointed out things, well, not people, when my exes pointed out things, I was not willing to budge. I wasn't willing to make changes.
Yeah.
Probably because I was young, or probably because I just was bullheaded.
Can we blame that on age, or can we blame that or bring to reality that it may have just been that you were stubborn?
Well, bullheaded, stubborn.
Okay.
Yeah, I just said that.
Okay.
I was bullheaded, stubborn.
Well, you said age first. So
well, age too plays a part.
Well, there's a maturity there.
There's a maturity there. Always thought, just to go off context a little bit, I always thought that I used to watch the Cosbys and always thought that that's what marriage was. Hence why I've been married so many times. But when you put things in perspective, getting to a place like that in marriage, that took years of work.
Well, that was artificial.
Well, I'm just saying, even in real life, I'm saying getting to a place of that nature, getting to that place, because we didn't really see the beginning in the Cosby Show. We didn't really see the beginning on how they got to that place of a lovely, happy family and marriage. Both of them having successful careers. It just started off right there with both of them having successful careers and having children.
Yeah.
So you didn't see what I'm saying is, I know it's TV. What I'm saying is, as when you're young, you it's TV, but you don't really think, okay, there had to be work put in for them to get to this place. In real life, it takes years to get to a place like where they were in the TV show.
Well, I mean, the fact that you watched the Cosbys and that gave you an image of what marriage, I guess, what you desired marriage to look like. But you came from grandparents that were married.
Right, but I didn't see
that was real life in front of your face.
No, that wasn't real life. It was real life in front of my face, yes, but they were already older. They already raised their kids. All their kids were grown. So I didn't see the progression, the beginning stages, and where they progressed to be married for, I think, over 30 years. I don't know the exact number of how long they were married for.
But they did that do you part.
They did that do you part, yes. But I didn't see the work that it took for them to make it to that place. So again, yes, I saw a marriage in real life, but I didn't see, by the time I came into the picture and lived with them throughout middle school and some of high school, they were already old. They already raised their kids,
Yeah, so you're not seeing the work of what healing or what things had to take place.
I didn't see what took place. I don't know what type of healing had to take place between them two, if any, what things transpired, because I'm their grandchild and I was, teenager. So I didn't see none of that from beginning stages. I wasn't there, and the only people that know what really went on when they were a young married couple, or the children that they raised.
Yeah, and even children don't have a good example of what healing or
especially
taking place.
If you don't know the conversation that's behind closed doors.
Well, I have a question for you. When we talk about in the space of healing, what do you think that a lot of couples, or maybe the context of marriage, that people are not sharing when it comes to healing in a marriage? Because I think healing is such a general blanket term. What are some of I always have a hard time saying this word. Specific things that show up in a marriage that we have to heal from?
That's a good question, man. You hit me with these hard questions already, man. This is early in the morning for this. Let's see. Ask that question again.
No, I'm not going to ask that
ask
question.
The question again.
Rewind the tape.
No.
I said we're talking about healing in a general term, right? What are some key things that in a marriage we, as people who are married, has to heal from? What are some specific things?
It could be childhood trauma. You're bringing in some of the childhood trauma into the marriage. So that's one. Things that you've maybe dealt with in previous relationships, infidelity, maybe, trust issues, verbal abuse, physical abuse. So those are some of the things that can show up. Even your childhood abuse can show up in your marriage, that you might need to heal from. The lack of not having your parents around, both of your parents around. So if you come from a broken home, then that's something that, you would have to heal from. So there's a lot of things that you
can show up in your
marriage that
Absolutely.
You would have to heal from.
I asked that question because a lot of times when we hear the word healing, we're like, we immediately go to infidelity. And yes, that is a huge one, but it's not. Trust could be your broken word, right? You can say something and then the person either reneges, right?
And you're speaking from
I'm speaking from experience, right?
Experiences from my own marriage, huh?
Yes, I sure am, right? And that is a childhood trauma thing. Like, I like people to follow through on what they say.
Right.
I think also from where I'm from, being from New York, we used to say your word is your bond, right?
Brooklyn.
Yes. So that, I didn't realize how deep in my fiber that was. So in the beginning of our marriage, wasn't so much that he did anything that was like detrimental, but he gave me his word and then he reneged on it, and it was a bigger consequence for both of us.
Right.
And when you don't have the communication skills to just, like, I'm a communicator, but I didn't tell you how important that was to me.
That's true, but then also as the man, you know, I'm not supposed to go back on my word. And so I should have taken care of that. Whether or not you communicated how important it is. It is important. That is important. So I think that doesn't really have anything to do with you not communicating that. As a man, I should have known, okay, I gave her my word that I was going to take care of that particular thing, and I didn't take care of it.
Yeah. So I think even for us being married for almost 10 years and not being experts in it, the reason why I wanted to share that is because immediately like people just say it had to be for infidelity or different things like that. And when we look at even statistics, I don't have the statistics now. If you're watching statistics now, if you are watching, drop the statistics in the chat so we can go back and watch it. You done? You gonna act a plum fool?
I'm sorry. You did stutter on statistics.
Okay. Yes. It was a tongue twister.
I know. I'm just messing with you.
Most you'll hear the divorces. What is the thing that they say? What is it that they split up?
Reconciliation.
Something of that sort.
Yeah.
And that is a blanket statement because it could be so many different things. And so if you are committed to your marriage, being successful or staying in it for the long haul, just know that you're going to have to do some healing work. We are two broken people that come together to become one flesh, and becoming one flesh is going to bring up the residue that you are able to hide on a day-to-day basis. So if you are maybe currently married and you're like going through stuff and you're thinking, is this what marriage is? Yes, because you're dying to your flesh and there's things that you are gonna have to deal with to make this successful. But it doesn't
even if you're
have
not
to feel
married
sad.
too, I think watching this episode too will help you put things in perspective and help you really think about, if you're in a relationship or if you're engaged, really think about what can come up or show up in your marriage if you don't deal with it before you get married.
Yeah. I know we didn't do marriage counseling before.
No, we didn't.
And we had some friends and they was like, you guys should do it. Our relationship started really quick and we were just in bliss, and then boom, we were married and 2 kids. Like, I mean, it was like you blinked, right? And so because we didn't take those necessary steps to bring up conversations about things that just because you're in love and everything is infatuated and different things like that. Like right now I'm dealing with the loss of my grandmother, and I lost my mom. Terrence and both of us, we have lost our parents. His dad is still living, thank God. But we both lost our moms, and my mom when I was 10, and then my grandmother became my mother. And grief is showing up different things that I didn't even know were there. I did get counseling for my mom.
Right.
And I was at 24. So that was a 14-year gap of like, oh, I don't have a mom.
Right.
Right. And so that grief period was very different, where now my grandmother is so raw, it feels like it opened up another wound. And there's things about me that I'm learning even in this season that is going to affect our marriage, and not in a negative way. I think we'll grow from it, but I'm in a place of, I have to heal with this grief and be married and commit to all the things that I said I was going to commit, and be a mom and do all the things that God has intended for me. So healing sometimes is not just from the other person. It's from what you're going to experience in life. And how does he support his wife who is grieving throughout this. That is even another nuance of healing as well in marriage as well.
Okay. Do you think, can a broken marriage really be healed?
Absolutely. I think anything could be healed, especially if you are committed to the process of it looking ugly. That's one.
I'm not committed to the process of looking ugly.
Because if you have like a cut, right? If you scrape your knee, it's bloody, it's gory, it's all of the different things. You might even have to go get some stitches and different
but
things.
we don't want the broken marriage to be bloody.
What I'm saying is we don't know what the fracture is, right? So if we put it in the context of healing, when you're waiting for the skin to come back, it takes time, right? And I think that we want to rush to the healing, like I'm healed, but we don't want the process. And so as long as you're committed to the ugly process of the healing journey, then there will be fruit on the other side of it. Okay. But I think any broken marriage or any turmoil in a relationship could be healed, especially if you are partnering with we're one. And even, no matter how ugly this looks or how uncomfortable it looks, we're committed to the process.
And also bringing in spiritual leaders, sound spiritual leaders, preferably, just my preference, preferably someone who's been married way more, that has way more experience than you do, that can help you get through the process.
Yeah, because we have another conversation about this that we'll have publicly, but I think that community is very vital for marriages. Not everybody in your business, okay? You have to use discernment on who, the what, the how, and the why you're having them in. And I always say you have to judge them by their fruit and not just by what they say. Look at the actions, look at the characteristics, look at who they are as a woman or a male, if you are willing to even take advice. I think it's important to have community. I know for me, without having my parents, it took a village to kind of raise me.
Right.
And although my family's in their lane, when it comes to our marriage, I don't go to my family for marital advice. I go to certain particular people that have the fruit of 50 years of marriage and is still in it and still in love. Okay. Those are
Now I got another question. Do you go to someone who maybe don't have as not 30, 40 years of marriage, and you know that they've gone through some things, and we didn't necessarily go through those things like infidelity or things of that nature? Do you still go to them for advice?
Yes, because when I see somebody who has walked out what forgiveness looks like, if I see someone, a particular couple that's in the fight, in the trenches, and walked out what forgiveness looks like, if that's what they've experienced, then I think that fruit is very vital. I don't know what we can deal with in the future, but I know that if you exemplify the characteristics of I walked out what forgiveness looks like, I came out on the other side of what forgiveness looks like, then I believe that that's somebody you can go to.
Okay.
If that's where you're comfortable. A lot of people are not comfortable even sharing how vulnerable or what they've experienced in their own lives.
Well, see, for me personally, I have to know what you've gone through. Not every detail, but I have to know a little bit of what you've gone through for me to be like, okay, this is a person that I can truly confide in and call and talk to, because I know that they went through it or went through even more of a rougher patch, and then they still have their marriage and they still have their family. I think if you go to that's just me personally. Okay. I feel like I can't just go to someone, especially when it's speaking on marriage. I can't just go to any old body, even if they are married, and I don't really know a little bit or context of what they've gone through, because how are they going to give me advice? Because you read some books, because you have the education, which is fine, great, but what have you walked through to be able to help me and guide me through my situation with with my marriage.
Well, like
within
you
my
said,
marriage.
that's personal, right? So that's a personal thought for you.
Right.
I have, there have been people that spoke into my life that literally did not know what was going on and literally like dropped a bomb that wasn't even it, just said something and kind of moved on, and they were not living the life or anything of what I desire. So I believe that God will also send you people that you may not even know anything about them, but they will speak into a situation. So I think that is, you know, yes, I agree with you. Like, I'm not just going to go, if I'm going and seeking for that information and you don't have no fruit, that I'm like, I'm not interested. Not saying that you can't, my ears just might be turned off to what you have to say, and I might not take it as value.
Correct.
Right. So I agree with you, but there are people who have spoken into my life that they're just because maybe God gave them a word for me and it made a lot of sense.
Okay.
Maybe the answer.
Okay. I got another question. How do you rebuild trust after betrayal in marriage? And before I go in, before you answer that, what we've already kind of went over it, so we don't need to go. What type of betrayal? Like, what do you consider betrayal?
Breaking your word to me. And I think it goes back to like my love language, words of affirmation. So if you say something and you renege on it, that's a level of like my trust being broken.
Okay.
Because it's followed by your actions. And if you can't hold to your own word, like I tell you this often, I don't want to lie to myself. If I mistreat myself, then I'm going to mistreat you. Right. And so I think when you hold to your word, for this is such a small thing, but I committed to taking care of my health a different way.
Right.
I've never had to, you guys, if you've never seen me, I'm very short. I'm sitting on a pillow right now so that I don't look so short from him, but I'm really short and I've been small my whole entire life, had kids, and I wasn't even really big after having kids, but I committed. I have been getting a little bit on the heavier side, and I believe that when you're short, you only got one way to go, and it's just round, okay? I don't have the height to really help me out, okay? Thank God he loves me in all different shapes, but I have to love and hold myself to a certain standard, not just because he's my husband and this is what he has to look at, for myself. And so if I lie to myself, then I'll be okay with you lying to me. And I don't believe that that's okay for myself. That's a standard.
Okay.
So how could I say, don't, like you told me something different, and I do it on an everyday basis. I think that we hold a higher standard for someone else,
but don't hold the standard for
and
yourselves.
I feel like it's easy to not see that. And I think when you self-reflect a lot, you always say, you got to go back. But I always look for, what did I participate in? How did I miss that? I always go back to self-reflect on like, okay, what part did I play? And then why didn't I speak up, or why did I allow certain things? So I think that in the healing journey, a part of it is you being a mirror for yourself.
Okay. How do, like, for instance, for the betrayal that me not keeping my word in the beginning of our marriage, as far as paying off a debt that I said I was going to pay off. Yes, this is a true story.
Yes.
Okay.
They probably be like, girl, you sweating over that? Yes.
That's about the only betrayal that has happened in our marriage. We think that betrayal is just basically infidelity. Even when I was doing research for this episode, it's the same. Betrayal is, they only consider betrayal infidelity, and it doesn't go more in depth. So how did I rebuild, if I even did rebuild the trust after the betrayal of not keeping my word and paying off a debt that affected your credit? Okay.
Just being consistent consistent on the actions. Like if you said something, you follow through. And the thing about, it might seem small to you guys, but just to give a little context so you guys don't think I'm nuts. I worked my tail off to like really build my credit and make sure that I always had access to capital. And I worked as a stylist, and by God's grace had a salon. And when I met him, I was already at the pinnacle I was ready to go to another level
Right.
financially, with buying a house or whatever the case may be, which we were able to do anyway. It was just a matter of we're now building together. So anything that we're building together, it affects us together. And he was very responsible as far as paying his bills and different things like that. But he gave me his word, and I'm like, oh, okay, because he has a pattern of doing what he says. So this particular thing, if our goal was to buy a house and you reneged on this, we're going to get further behind away from our goal.
Right.
And but to answer your question, is being consistent. And I think that your consistency chips away, because I think we give trust in the beginning freely.
Right.
We don't make somebody earn the trust. It's just given. It's like, oh, I trust you. And we don't give it out slowly, which I think that's a part of being a agape love, right? Or even sometimes allowing, like God allowing you to come together. You sometimes are blinded with the love that you don't pay attention to some small details
Right.
when it comes to the other person,
Right.
which is okay, but it also can be costly too.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I think just being consistent with honoring what you said you were no longer going to do. But also we have to have grace too.
Okay.
And I don't think that I don't do it that well sometimes.
Sometimes.
Oh, you're trying to throw me under the bus.
Sometimes.
No. I just
No,
hold
you do.
I hold you to a high standard.
Okay.
And I think that
Well,
sometimes
I think we hold each other to a high standard.
absolutely. I think that
We don't too much like the correction when correction comes.
neither
But
one of us, no.
But we have to. How do you grow if we don't hold each other to a higher standard? We can't necessarily grow. We'll be stuck for years and years because we're not holding each other to a high standard.
Yeah, not one bit.
And we're not correcting each other. That's another thing, but we'll go into that another episode. I think correcting each other in a marriage, doing it gracefully, but correcting each other, and bringing it up. And the other person might not like it when they're getting corrected, but they'll come back around and say, you know what, you were right.
Yeah, for
Later
sure.
on. All right. Is forgiveness always necessary in marriage?
Yes, you're always going to have to forgive.
Okay.
I don't think that you can get away from being married and not build the muscle of forgiveness.
Okay. That is true.
Like,
No.
I think that's a daily thing. And it can be the smallest thing. I think that we compound, oh, he did this. I don't know for all women, but I can say most of the women that I've ever talked to, and because I've done a lot of hair, forgiveness is not as we mass and say, oh, I forgive it.
Look, I've been married to 4 different women, and forgiveness is hard in general for women.
Yes.
They don't write it down, or I don't know if they write it down, but they keep a list.
It's a score. It's definitely a score. But the other day I was praying. I was like, because we were like talking about just maybe a few episodes, and one day I was just like praying to myself, and I was like, Dad, if God kept score, I would be in hell busting it wide open. Like, this is the kind of thoughts that come to mind. I'm like, if he kept score, I'm going to hell. Like, with gasoline drawers on, like, hello, welcome, and I'm like, wow. So my prayer was, Lord, teach me how to forgive quickly. Like, I don't want to harbor certain things. And there are things that I'm like, I thought I would harbor over this, but I think it's a muscle that's constantly being developed. I think in marriage, you definitely, that's the practice a little bit, that you do on a regular basis. Because I can forgive the kids in seconds.
I know.
Like, I mean, just get over it.
I look at you. I see you. You do it all the time.
Move on.
I forgive you. I forgive you. But when it comes to the husband,
I don't know what it is. It's like
you. Yeah.
I guess we hold. You're an adult. We should know. I don't know what it is, but yes, that was just a thought, my own thought. Let me know in the comments. Do you guys forgive easily? And if you do, what are some resources? Let me know, because help your sister out. I'm just haven't figured it out.
Now, could the problem be for people, or even for you, on not being so easily forgiven? Is it because you're holding unresolved issues?
It could be.
Pertaining to myself, pertaining to me. Are you holding? Because I feel like if those things are resolved, why is it difficult to forgive?
I mean, I feel like I forgive you, and then if you do something that's similar, I'm like, oh, did he really change? Or are we having a repeat? Is this a repeat offender? I think it's a lot of
repeat offender. Okay.
I'm telling you, this is what happens in my brain, right?
Okay. All right.
I'm telling you the truth, right? Which I do tell you the truth all the time. But yeah, I think it's just like it's grace and forgiveness. And when you know you truly have forgiven, there's no residue. There's nothing, there's no feelings that come up. It's just like, oh, okay. You know, you deal with that situation and you move on. So I'm trying to get to a place where if something looks similar, feels, there's nothing that happens internally where I'm like, the recycle of, okay, this looks the same or anything.
Yeah, because I'm always apologizing to you.
Yeah,
first,
you're so
even when I'm not in the wrong. It's like, I'm sorry. Like, let's just not.
Because you desire peace, which is great.
Do you not desire peace?
I mean, when we first got together, I always just say, listen, my life is so peaceful. I don't want no mess whatsoever. And I promise, if you were to see us in real life, you would probably never even think that we have any like, I would not say issues, because we just be telling it like we don't care. Yeah. It's like, but we get along very, very well. So it doesn't look like we're not like, oh, we're always fighting or anything. So I hope these episodes is not coming off like we just be like bashing each other on a regular basis. But we have fun. A lot of times we laugh and joke, probably way too much. Yeah. But
that's why this is easy, because we laugh and joke all the time. Yeah. And we have real deep conversations.
Honest
it was like,
conversations.
Why not just put this on camera?
Yeah. It took me a little while, y'all. But when it comes, I don't know. I guess for us, it's just, if it just comes up, because it doesn't happen so often. Right. So when it does, I guess, I don't know. Y'all pray for me. That's all I can say. I don't have the answer. You just go back to
your score in the back of your head. Well, he did this. He did this. He did that. He said this. He said that. He didn't do this. Yeah. And it all gets thrown back into the, I'm like, dude, I thought we already.
Men move on so easily. You guys are just, and that's how God wired you. You're on to the next challenge or on to the next thing, which is beautiful. I think God just made us where, I don't know this to be true, and you let me know, but I'm like, we are nurturers and carriers. So we store a lot. Like, we carry the babies, we store a lot. And one of my prayers is that we don't store the things that are garbage and that's tearing us up. Right. And that we release these things that are keeping us in bondage, whether it be mentally bondage, because it can show up in one way or another. And you don't want to give license to this trauma that is going to reign. And if you are a believer of Jesus Christ, then that has no legal right. You only have the power to come into agreement with those things. So I'm constantly sharing and praying over myself that I release these covenants of trauma, whatever these things are. I list them out and I release them on a daily basis, because I refuse to allow these things to keep me in some type of bondage when that's not the life God wants for me.
Okay. All right. I hear that, prayer warrior. Yeah. All right. Let me ask you another question. What are some of the signs that healing is happening in a relationship? Like, what are some of the signs that maybe, coming from our own experiences, shows that healing is happening, if healing is still happening?
I think one of the signs, I can speak from our experience, is that we have probably gotten closer and a little bit even more honest about what is happening or what we're feeling. Okay. So I think that's a sign. The communication is a lot stronger. So if you feel that you're able to communicate the things that you maybe went to like a girlfriend about, but you're going directly to your husband and sharing those different things, I think that's a sign. Okay. I also think a sign emotionally for yourself that if he says something, you're not triggered by what he or she just said, maybe your wife, if you're watching, or even your girlfriend, you're not triggered by those things. I think that's when you realize that healing is in the process and is taking place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mutual respect would play a part too.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Willing to address. Oh, you're always willing to address past hurts.
Yes, I am.
Oh Lord, you are the queen of addressing past.
I think if you don't, well, part of it is it is of you, right? So I think that you don't like to hear anything of your past, period. Like, you'll share it, but you don't.
I share it, and that's me. I'll share my past, but once I talk about it, or once we, I guess, I feel like we talk about it, and then that's it. I already have it in the back of my mind, so I don't have to have someone else remind me of my past at all. And that's why I'm so open about even my past. When I talk to people, even when I first meet them, I'll tell them my past, my story, whatnot.
If necessary.
Yeah.
You don't just go, hey, I've been,
Yeah. if necessary.
Yeah.
But I don't have a problem with it because, one, you can't hold that over my head. That shows, unless you know, hey, I already know, I'm already in tune with, I already know what I did.
Well, I think there's also no condemnation around what your past is.
You can't condemn me. The only person that can condemn me is God.
And that's not even.
And then that's not even. He doesn't even do that.
Yeah.
So,
I think when tying it back to what you were saying, like there's no shame around it. Now, people will have opinions all day, every day about what your past looks like, and even my own past. But what I have come to realize is my past doesn't define who I am. My past only shows the redemption of like how Christ redeemed.
Right.
And also, you can't pull up a dead skeleton that I won't share on myself. Like, there's nothing that another human being can hold over your head. So that's where the freedom is. And I think anything that is a secret, there's shame always tied to it. That's why it's a secret.
I think another thing that can happen, there are signs of healing, is empathy, and then also shared joy. Yeah. As they are rebuilding their bond.
Yeah. Well, we laugh a lot about the past, which is, I think, and not because we only sit here and be like, oh, we're going to just laugh about it. Not that. But we'll say something and I'm like, oh, remember that time?
Yeah.
And then it's just, it now.
Or every time it's raining here, I'm like, I miss my palm trees. I miss going.
Why?
Like, I'm not even, I don't, outside is pretty, I get it. But it's just like, I miss where I was able to just hop in the car and then just go to the beach or go to the pier.
Yes.
Looking at mountains in the backyard.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of that beauty.
So we laugh and say, especially when we're watching our HD TV shows.
Yes.
And especially in California. It's like, oh, man.
How did we leave?
How did we do that? But, it is what it is.
Then he does that. And I'm still like, sometimes you bring it up, I'm like, why didn't I say anything? Why did I agree to this? And now we live in Georgia and it is beautiful. I remember when we first came here to visit, I was like, it looks like broccoli everywhere. It was just trees everywhere. And, but I was excited about what the future could hold. And this is where back in the day, if he would have just reflected, because he didn't want to ever look back.
Right.
And at that time, I'm like, if I would have stressed, look at where we are, look at what we've accomplished, he was so always looking ahead that when you don't look back or even in the present, you can make a decision that will change the very things that makes you thrive and happy. Right. And now we don't have accessibility to a beach. I mean, we have to drive a decent amount of time, where before 45 minutes we're there.
Right.
Now we don't have that. And you miss it more, and you don't realize how much your choices will make in your marriage. You will make choices, and some of the choices that you are going to make collectively will have an impact on your current today. And that you have to heal from the bad decisions you guys made collectively. That is something that people are not talking about. It's not even the other issues. You guys are going to make decisions. It's not, you just made a choice, and that choice has different consequences. And that is like, we had to heal from that together, because like, why did we do this? Like, what were we thinking? What were we not thinking? Who said this was okay? Who did we talk to in that moment in time? Why did we talk to that realtor? Why didn't we talk to this realtor? It was just, you have to heal from all of these choices that you're going to make collectively, that you're going to realize, this wasn't the best decision.
Right.
And now we have our kids. It's like, I miss palm trees. It's like, you were only 3 and 4.
They missed the beach. They missed especially Journey.
Yeah.
She's like, I want to go back.
Yeah, she's like ready. She only lived there for a short period of time, but
why is there so many bugs here?
Yeah, she's definitely, it's in her DNA. That Cali ground is all up in her for sure. We'll get back there one day. We'll see where God takes us.
All right. So I do believe and consider us as a Christian couple, right?
Yes.
Do you consider us as a Christian couple?
Really?
I'm just asking.
Yes.
Do you? Okay.
Yes, I do.
All right.
The foundation of our
relationship in our marriage
is faith, is believing in Jesus Christ.
Okay. So how can Christian couples overcome emotional distance? Ooh, that's a good question.
That is a good question. I don't know if I have an answer for that. I don't know if I got an answer for that. Let me know if you got an answer, put it in the comments. Emotional, well, one thing is, when you're studying the word, I think that it is a crucifying when you're reading it. It checks you. I think if you read from the lens like you want to know it from a history storybook, then you're not going to get checked. But if you're reading it with asking God for understanding and wisdom, then there will be the checking that is revelation for you to show up in your marriage. Okay. So I believe individually and collectively, that's one way.
We have to get better of doing it collectively together.
Yeah.
We don't do it too well together.
No. And I think that one reason probably why we don't do it very well together is I think it's kind of like so intimate, and maybe we just haven't found our synergy of what that looks like. See, he's an extremist. And I'm not an extremist, right?
I'll be like, wake up at 3:30 so we can read the word together and pray.
Yeah. And I'm like, Lord, you designed me a special way. Yes, he's the head, but I need every extra Z so that I can take care of the children that you gave me.
Oh, you know what? I was scrolling. This is going beyond topic, and I want to create an episode off of this. But I had saw something on Instagram yesterday talking about how which I was dumbfounded. I was just like, wow, where this man, I'm not gonna say his name, but he said that his wife is the head and he is the neck.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So
was that it was somebody biblical, like somebody?
No, he wasn't biblical. I think he's like a Muslim or something. I don't know. I don't know his faith, but I was just like, what?
I don't know. I just know when you read the word of God, we don't have to put anything extra. I think a lot of people on social media is saying a lot for shock value to get you to go and Lord. It's like now a marketing tactic. No, it's the most shocking thing.
It's like ridiculous. Like, what?
Yeah.
He said that his wife is the head and he is the neck.
Okay. Well,
and that she leads the household, but he brings in the money. He takes care of her. Things of that nature. I'm not going to go into detail, but I'm definitely going to dive into that because
and maybe make an episode about that.
Yeah, definitely going to make an episode about that because I was just like, what?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, I think going back to the question, I'm sorry I got off of, but how can Christian couples overcome emotional distance? I think like praying together, reading the word together, also seeking counsel, faith-based perspective to help them realign, going to faith-based couples that they trust to help them align their relationship.
And I think I don't want to say faith-based, but counseling in general, someone who's trained. It doesn't even have to be like your pastor or anything like that. I think that you should seek counseling even outside of the four walls or your pastor as well.
Well, yeah, four walls. Well, we're talking about, I feel as though if I'm talking about Christian in Christianity and the word of God, then I feel like any counseling, any type of counseling should come from a counselor that has the same values as you.
100%. Yeah. I'm
like
just
the
saying
foundation of God is there.
Absolutely. I 100% agree.
I don't want to go to an atheist and be like, here, help me, counsel me through my...
I'm not saying it like that. I'm just saying, yes, it may not be your pastor. You may not even have access to your pastor like that. There are some people who are part of like big churches that don't have access to, you know, their particular pastor. But I'm just saying you should seek. I believe in therapists, and you can find Christian, faith-based Christian counselors for sure.
You know, they got Christian mingles. I wonder if they have christiantherapist.com. Ooh, I should write that down. That might be a
let us know in the chat.
That might be
do they already have that?
Might be a domain.
I believe they already have that.
What, christiantherapist.com?
I don't know, but I mean, it's not that if you came up with it, I'm pretty sure somebody was thinking the same thing.
I don't know, but I'm about to go on GoDaddy and see.
He always ready to start a business, y'all. I mean,
I'm not starting that. I'm gonna just get the domain and sell it.
Okay.
If it's not taken.
Okay, well,
remember,
you can give it to the people. So
christiantherapist.com. But this is pre-recorded, so they won't see it by that time. I've already looked it up.
Okay. Moving right along.
All right. When should couples seek counseling for marriage struggles?
I think you should be. This is my personal opinion, so don't be judging me. I think that you should stay in therapy indefinitely.
Oh my Jesus.
And the reason why I say that, I knew he was going to say something. The reason why I say that is because we wait until a problem blows up. If you're going to the gym to take care of your body on a regular basis, then why not? Doesn't have to be all the time, but once a month you go and you fine tune your communication skills. Why do we got to wait until the problem is magnified, then we start dealing with certain things?
I don't think you have to wait until the problem is magnified. I don't think you also don't have to. I don't think you should. You don't have to stay in counseling for your whole entire marriage.
No, but I definitely think the first 10 years, if we would have stayed in it, and been consistent, we would have had tools to work through certain things. That's why I said we don't agree on this.
Yeah,
I think that you should.
I don't agree with that. I don't think that.
I think once a month.
Because I mean, I don't have the bandwidth
to communicate.
I communicate. I talk to my wife.
Okay.
I communicate. I don't feel as though I need to communicate with somebody else about my marriage, especially if my marriage is going well, and we have no problem with communicating.
I know.
I don't feel as though I have to spend an hour every month to.
It's 60 minutes.
You know what I can do with those 60 minutes?
Rest. That's what I would be doing. But I just think I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
60 minutes could be used for adult time. More adult time.
Okay.
It's like I could be doing, what I'm saying is.
Once a month?
Maybe once a quarter.
Okay, once a quarter. But I don't think there's anything wrong with going. We have the accessibility, so why not? I don't find anything wrong with going and having sensible conversations.
But you can have sensible conversation without putting a title on. I'm going to counseling.
Okay, so then don't say it. We're just going to meet with some friends, and they're going to be talking to us. Yeah. Okay.
Well, when you're talking to friends, I'm talking
about the therapist who is the friend.
No, what? No. When you're talking to other married couples, obviously, hopefully, you're having sound conversations where you're talking about communication and things of struggles about marriage. I mean, those are what fun. You can have fun by having meaningful conversations.
No, I 100% agree. But there's laughter. There's all of those different. The question, that was not the question.
Laughter helps with counseling.
Okay, so why can't you do that in a professional setting?
I don't need a professional setting to do that.
Okay. Let me know.
That's just my take. But
that's my take. Do you think that you should stay in counseling?
For a lifetime of your marriage? Until death do you part.
Or I mean, or you just wait until a problem. Let me know. I want to see what they have to say.
Okay. I did say at least once a quarter. Okay.
So we agree to disagree.
All right. Whoa, this is a good question. What role does prayer play in marriage restoration?
I think prayer is a direct conversation to God. So I think it's huge. I think it's a priority.
Okay.
I think reading the word and prayer is a priority. But prayer is a two-way street. I think that we do a lot of praying and not a lot of listening.
Listening from whom?
To God.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So because prayer is a dialogue, right? And so how God speaks is through his word, through revelation, through dreams, there's so many different ways.
I know I'm going off topic, but I had a dream last night. I sometimes it takes me a while to cut my toenails. Not to where they looking like. You really gonna
tell the folks this? They don't want to know about your toenails.
Look, it's going in the realm of what you were saying about God speaking in dreams.
Hurry it up, because I don't know if I want to hear this whole story. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I had a dream about my little toenail, pinky toenail, falling off. Like I hit it and then just the whole nail just came off. Right. So this morning I woke up and I literally cut my toenails.
You think the Lord had something to do with that dream?
Well, obviously, he was telling me something. So what is wrong? What is wrong with thinking that the Lord told me, "Hey, cut your toenails before your toenail falls off"?
Warning comes before destruction. That's all I'm gonna say. I ain't got nothing else to say to this.
But go ahead.
So I think prayer is a two-way street, and I think a lot of times we pray out of our emotions and out of the stuff, right? But the Word of God tells us to remind him of our scriptures, and a lot of times if we don't know the word, then we're praying amiss, or we're praying our will and not his will be done. And so sometimes just sitting still, God will either give you an unction, or you'll go open the scriptures, and then that's how you will get an answer to whatever it is that you're believing God for. But it's definitely a high priority in doing this marriage, the God way of doing marriage.
Okay. I would agree.
Yes.
I agree with everything that you said.
So I'm going to put you on blast.
Okay, put me on blast.
How come you don't want to be taking the reins and be like, babe, let's pray?
Oh, you did put me on blast like that. Jesus Christ. On that note, we are going to end this conversation and this episode because my wife just put me on blast like that. No, seriously, I don't really have an answer for that. I don't, when you, let's see, I don't know. That's a good question.
Okay, well.
I feel like if one person, whether it be the man or the wife, is stronger in that area, then I feel as though it doesn't matter who it is. If the other spouse that's not strong in that area is willing to do it, then the person who's stronger should go ahead and take the reins until, the other spouse comes to the realization, or maybe realize, oh, I can take the reins on this. Babe, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's just a question.
But that was putting me on blast. So, like I said, I'm not an expert. We're not experts. So, you can take what you need to take out of this episode and throw away everything else, because my wife just put me on blast.
No, the goal is that this conversation was to, number one, spark.
Well, we're not done.
Oh, we're not?
No, we are not done.
Listen,
look,
sister's done.
No, we're not.
Oh, okay.
All right. I have a couple more questions for you.
I mean, this feels like a whole interview.
Oh, well, we're both talking.
Go
it's
ahead.
A communication talking. We can't. Wanted to have questions, okay?
Okay.
Like, we can't just come up here without no questions. I'm coming a little bit more prepared.
Okay.
All right? All right. What steps should a husband and wife take to reconnect emotionally?
You waiting for me?
So I will give you some context. I think in order to reconnect emotionally, they should prioritize quality time. Quality time for me is very important.
I would agree with that.
I say at 7 p.m., I'm ready for the kids to go to bed, whether it's Monday or Sunday or Saturday or Friday, Monday through Sunday. they are in the bed by
7:30.
No, I would like it to be 7.
I would like it to be 7:30.
Now, on Saturdays and Fridays, we do let them stay up a little bit later. Not too much late.
8:30.
That's still later. But my quality time our quality time has to be put first.
Yes. So back to the question.
Okay, so quality time, prioritizing quality time, practicing active listening.
That can be a tough one.
That is a tough one. I know sometimes, majority of the time, I listen to respond rather than actively listen. Expressing appreciation regularly. Now, I know I don't have a problem with expressing my appreciation for everything that you do.
No, you don't.
But you, on the other hand,
I just do it, and then I don't.
You don't.
I have
express
to do better.
It.
Yeah.
So.
And you need to hear the well done.
Like the other day, I shaved my head. Clean, shiny bald head.
That's a part of your maintenance.
That's not the point. But anyways, I shaved my head. It was shiny, bald, and everything. Right. I come out. She says, "Oh, did you shave your head?"
He was like, "Where's the rest of the compliment?
Where's the compliment at? Oh, you look good. You look handsome. Ooh, you look really good. None of that. It's just, oh, did you shave your head? Oh, okay." And then went about your business. Now, if a man says that to a woman after she comes in the house and gets her hair done, and we say, "Oh, did you get your hair done?" and nothing else, that's a whole ordeal.
It is. It is.
It is.
Because there is more to that silence. I sometimes I have so much on my brain that I don't even think about, oh, he needs compliments. It just has to come natural to me.
Okay.
But I'm gonna do better. And then when I'm bothering him, I'm like, "Oh, you look so good." He's like, "What are you all over me for?" It's like, wait, I thought that's what you want. But then I guess I do it too much, too excessive. So it's finding that balance. But yes, he does do a great job.
Setting aside is another one. Setting aside distractions like technology. I think technology is a big thing nowadays, where it can really, really take away your time, your quality time, not only from each other, but even from your family.
This has been a gift and a curse all in one.
Oh, yes.
Because it's your $1 million idea is always at your fingertips.
Right.
But we don't want to admit that it's almost an addiction. And sometimes, like, if you ever notice, if you tell your spouse or whatever, and you're like, "Oh, could you get off your phone?" Watch the attitude that takes place. Immediately, you will see a grown adult give you a whole attitude.
Like the other day, Journey, or I don't know if it was the other day, Journey was like, "Mommy, you're always on your phone."
And I'm not always on my phone.
That's not the point.
Yeah, she just felt in that moment, "Oh my God, I got such an attitude." And I was like, okay, it's fine. But it's a matter of somebody just bringing the mirror. Nobody wants to be corrected, and nobody wants to see what you're doing in that moment, because our heads are down and we're focused on whatever we're doing. So it keeps us drawn in.
Like the other day, this past weekend, you were in your phone in the morning, and I was like, "You're in your phone." Like,
but I was reading my Bible.
But she was reading the Bible. But what did I say after that?
But after you go read your Bible, you go and do something else.
No, I said, okay, you was reading the word. You should read your word in your Bible. You got a whole Bible out there. Why you need your technology?
Because I didn't want to get out of bed.
And then after you read your word, you're going to scrolling and things of that nature.
I 100% agree.
But our time in our bedroom is supposed to be our time in the bedroom. And we're going to go deep into that, too, in another topic. But anyways, so that answers that question.
Okay.
All right. I got 2 more questions.
Okay.
All right. How do we handle past hurts that keep resurfacing? Ooh.
I think you just got to stay in the ring. Stay in the ring and deal with it. If it keeps resurfacing, then you have to ask yourself, why does this keep recurring? Now I'm going to go probably a little bit deep.
I think you have to know what triggers those
so we're talking on the natural
hurts,
those
part, past hurts,
right?
And also understanding the patterns.
Yes. So naturally, yes, these are great answers. But spiritually, when you're looking in the spirit realm of what is happening, if it keeps resurfacing, it's because the enemy wants to keep you blinded to see that there's no healing. There's no forthcoming. There's no destiny for this marriage. So if the same argument or the same cycle or the same patterns or triggers, this is where I don't care who is more in their word. You have to understand that the enemy only comes to do three things: is kill, steal, and destroy. And if he wants you to be blind, that this is not your companion, this is somebody who you are against, and making you see that this is your enemy, and you start seeing that this is a pattern, you have to understand that you're not even fighting him. Mm-hmm. You're fighting this spiritual battle that is making you think differently, like your mind is not renewed. So I see it if I keep seeing the same thing reoccur, and I know that it is a trick of the enemy immediately.
Have you ever thought about going to school for theology?
No. I don't enjoy school. Nope.
Why not?
I don't enjoy any type of school.
Okay.
Yeah. Nope.
She said that with a straight face. Nope. Okay.
You done?
Okay. So, where are the biggest obstacles to healing in marriage? And I'll answer this. I think some of the biggest obstacles is lack of communication, lack of communication, lack of understanding, lack of knowing your past hurts and your past triggers, what triggers you, lack of unresolved personal trauma and issues, lack of growth and maturity. Those are some of the things that come to my mind that plays a part in obstacles, the biggest obstacles to healing in marriage.
To add to that, I would definitely say accountability. Like when you can't be accountable of what you contributed to this mountain in your relationship, it's because you are allowing yourself to be the hero in the story.
Okay.
Right? And then also, if you listen with the spirit of offense, a lot of us get offended very quickly, very easily. We call it and mask it with the word trigger that has become like a buzzword. So I think that when you, no, it really is. It's like, that triggers me. It's like everything triggers you, right? No, you're listening with the spirit of offense. And when you listen with the spirit of offense, you only hear one thing. You read into the face expression.
What you just said triggered me.
Well, that's your problem.
See, and I don't like to be triggered. I am triggered on national YouTube.
No, I'm just saying it's become a buzzword and it's become a scapegoat for people not to hold a mirror to themselves. No, you are a douchebag. You're acting like a douchebag right now. And we don't want to
not
say,
me.
I'm just saying in general, like nobody wants to take accountability. Like when we had an argument a couple of weeks ago and I said, ooh, I acted like a plumb fool. And you have to take accountability to what you contribute. And most people do not want to take accountability of what you contribute to this mountain, this problem. And that becomes an obstacle. If you cannot look at thyself and say, what have I done? What do I need to do? I can't always point the finger and say, well, Terrence not doing this, Terrence not doing that. No, what is Angelica doing to contribute to this problem? Because if I can fix thyself and I can look in the mirror, then 9 times out of 10, I won't have a problem with you. Because the problem needs to be, what is I'm doing? Point the finger back to you, which is why the word of God tells us, work out your own salvation with fear and tribulance. If I'm trying to work out your salvation, I ain't in my own business. Stay in your business. And then that's when it becomes really one.
Okay. So, I did want to close out our episodes doing something differently.
Okay.
I have looked up some Bible scriptures.
Okay. You want to give them, want to drop them some words?
So I'm going to drop them a few Bible scriptures that can help during the healing or restoring your marriage or your relationship with your husband or wife. So one of the Bible scriptures is Proverbs 15:1. This is from the New Living Translation. So that focused on healing and restoration in marriage. Now there's more scriptures, but
gave you a few.
I'm going to give you a few. Proverbs 15:1. And that is a gentle answer deflects anger, but harsh words make tempers flare. Then we have
Colossians 3 and 12.
Colossians 3:12. Since God chose you to be the holy people he loves, you must clothe yourselves with tender-hearted mercy, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Ooh, that's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah.
All right. Ephesians 4:32. Instead, be kind to each other, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God, through Christ, has forgiven you. Mark 10:9. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate. I really like that verse. And then the last one, Hebrews 10:24-25. Let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good works. And let us not neglect our meeting together, but encourage one another.
That's really good. And there's so more.
See?
That's really
This is
good.
our Bible study too.
Yes.
Look at that.
So
Look at God.
Look at won't he do it? Only God can do it, right?
Yeah.
Only God can do it. The beautiful thing about even doing this is that it makes you study the word, or it makes you go and look. And not that we're not experts in it at all. But I think this beautiful thing called marriage that was God's idea, it was designed to do great things in the earth, right? Yeah. And so when two people come together, yes, you're broken. Yes, you have your flaws. Yes, you have all of the things, right? Your triggers, your traumas, all of that stuff. God doesn't see that. He gives you guys
buzzword trigger.
Yeah, I did it on purpose. God doesn't see that. And what he sees is two people who has a mission, a purpose, a vision. And if you can get past all of that stuff, then you can walk forth and do what he's called you to do. And that's what we're doing, right? Yes. Even with our own mess, our own griefs and hurts and pains and all this stuff, this is why we're doing the vision for us. And it's beautiful.
And I would second that.
Yes.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. See, I gave a compliment.
Oh, yes, you did. Because I'm the one that came up with it.
Yes.
Well, not all by myself.
He has to keep reminding us. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Let us know your biggest takeaways. We love to read your thoughts, your comments. Definitely share it with someone if you found it valuable for you or anyone else that can benefit.
And make sure you drop a like, share it, subscribe to our channel. I think we're having like 69% swipe away.
Yeah.
And not watching it. So please do us a favor and subscribe to the channel. It only is going to help us grow and get our podcast out there.
Yep. We appreciate you.
So we appreciate you. So have a good one. Till next time.
Bye.
Peace.